measure, measure, measure. Protect the coffee at all times. Get comfy. Let's do this. Perfect. Pretty good at this shit. Beautiful. Oh, no f***ing way. Oh, shit. Good morning. Welcome back to the van build. Today we are putting in our second Maxxair fan. So first of all, let's go over everything that you need. You need to keep your cardboard from your boxes so you can make yourself a template. The template that you need to make is 14 by 14. We'll talk about this later. You need your fan, a drill with a set of drill bits in order for you to make pilot holes. That brings me to then your jigsaw. This seems to be your best option for cutting out holes in your van. I've seen people use other things, but it always comes back to a jigsaw. One thing to make sure of is that you have a metal blade. Then you need your clean metal primer or self-etching primer. You want to hit everything that's exposed, every piece of metal that's exposed for after you cut with a primer or a rust protectant. So that's gonna be important. Butyl tape, you need butyl tape. I'm gonna link all of this down below, but make sure that you get high quality butyl tape. I bought this off of Amazon, it was a little pricey. And then at Camping World, I bought this for a lot less. And I was like, this is awesome, it gives me a lot more. And it was a pain to work with. And then I went along and I just finished up with this butyl tape because this was a lot easier to work with, easier to handle. It took me 1/8 of the time it took me to work with that other butyl tape. So this will be linked below. You want to get high quality butyl tape. You need a metal file, safety glasses. I'm doing this for my mom. Safety glasses, I wear safety glasses, mom. And then you want some lap sealant. So this is what I've been using. I'll link this below as well. This is specifically for roof replacements in RVs or installing skylights or fans and stuff like that. So it's specific for what I'm doing. I wouldn't recommend just using any sealant that you pick up at the store. Be intentional with it. The last thing, tape. Something that I learned from the last fan install was that the vibrations of cutting that hole out, kind of scary, and it makes it a lot harder. So what I ended up doing was I grabbed some tape that wasn't gonna harm my paint and taped the piece of metal that was flapping around to reduce the vibrations, and it made it a lot easier. Knowing how to do that this time is gonna make it go a lot faster. All right, let's get this second fan installed. I'll talk you through everything step by step, including all of the mistakes that I made last time. Really, step number one is for you to measure and measure and measure. If you are planning on having solar or a roof rack or a road shower, just make sure that you're planning for all of that on your roof. You can't really take back a giant hole that you cut in your ceiling, so just measure, measure, measure. Step two, you need to make your template. So the first template that I made, I used this. So this is the piece that fits into your hole on your roof. Don't use this as a template, that's wrong. All you need is a 14 by 14 square. I made a new template and then I found the middle and I marked the middle. Why this is important? Well, I'll show you. As you can see, there are some holes drilled already. Pretend I didn't do those yet. So I have my 14 by 14 template, and then you just wanna mark the middle. Then you drill a small pilot hole. Now when you get up onto your van, you know where the center of your template will sit. So once you have your template figured out, once the center is drilled out, you need to move everything to the top of your van. Protect the coffee at all times. Once you're up on top of your roof, find your center hole, match it up with your template. Once you have traced it, you know where the corners are. That is where you want to put your pilot holes. Once again, make sure that you start with a smaller drill bit and work up to larger drill bits until the hole is big enough for your jigsaw blade to fit through. All right, pilot holes done. Now you cut. Quick PSA, it's really quite a simple process. It's quite intuitive, but if you're somebody that's not used to using power tools like this, it can be a little bit scary and you're gonna be fine. Get comfy. Let's do this. All right. So this is where I'm actually gonna start to tape these sides where it's flappy. And I know that this metal, because of the ridges, is gonna catch quite a bit, and it'll help a little bit with the vibration. see how that goes. It goes nothing. Shaking. Oh, it's literally perfect. This is perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. My last one was perfect too. Pretty good at this shit. I'm so glad I don't have to cut anymore. It's pretty rough. I could cut myself very easily on this. There are little shards poking up and down, and I just want to clean it all up. It has exposed a little bit more metal, but that's okay. So I've got this. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you really protect this cut from any moisture. So I'm gonna go ahead and prime it off. Thought you'd be the one for me. Won't you tell me? The spray paint really does quite a great job. All right, now I'm gonna let that dry. All right, the primer is dry, so the next step is to lay down this butyl tape. Because of these ribs here sticking up, there is going to be space underneath this plate that goes down first. I've seen people deal with this a few different ways. I've seen people pound down these ribs so that everything fits really flat. And I've also seen people build up this part with tape or putty tape or butyl tape. I think that's the route that I'm going to go. We'll see how this goes. If you notice how easy that was, I'm gonna throw a clip in here of what it was like to use the other butyl tape that was less expensive. It was so stuck to the outside sheeting that I had to use scissors to scrape it off so that it would lay down on my metal. Get the expensive stuff, just get the high quality tape. So butyl tape is down, now I'm gonna lay this in there. These metal things need to be facing the sides of your van, just like that. All right, I feel okay with this. So I am going to pre-drill the holes with a really small little bit. I learned in the last fan that it was pretty hard to get those screws in, so the pre-drill was kind of needed. Here we go. One more thing to remember while you're doing this, you want to kind of jump from one side to the other as you're doing it to make sure that you're creating even tension along this whole piece. My last fan did not line up with these 4 holes really great, and I had to loosen some of the screws and tighten them back up and play around with it a little bit. So make sure you're doing this step. I have finished screwing all of these in. The next step is to make sure that your fan fits and that these holes line up. You want to make sure that you open it all the way before you put it on here. So oh, like a glove. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, so I'm actually going to do most of the lap sealant before I put my fan back on and screw it in. The only reason that I wanted to put my fan on first was to make sure that it fit well. On the one in the front, I did all of the lap sealant before I even put the fan in to make sure that the holes lined up. So it was kind of tricky needing to maneuver the fan after that and figure out how to line up those holes, so don't make that mistake. So I've got most of the lap sealant on. I'm probably gonna go back and touch up some of these areas once they are a little bit more dry. Time to actually put my fan in. Man, what a good fit this round. Sweet. Ow, these screws are so hot. There we go. Now I'm gonna tighten them up, throw some lap sealant on them, All are good. Here's the fan installed. And each one of these little screws coming down, I'm going to use a lap sealant and seal the screws as well as kind of in some of these ribs where I can see some space. Oh, so much. Pet puppy. Not leaking. We are done with the fan. This is slightly obnoxious, is it not? So you also have this piece. And this is very long. You don't need this whole thing. But this will be placed up in here. And then you'll have 4 screws drill into whatever your ceiling is. Now, once you're done with your ceiling, then you can install this, because then you'll know how much to cut off of this based on, you know, how much you need to build out your ceiling. And then that'll just screw right in and make it look all nice and clean cut. And then you'll really be done. Well, then you have to hook it up. Oh, no way. Oh, shit. I f***ed up. Don't do what I did. This is hilarious. Oh my God. What I did was totally forgot. Oh shit. I totally forgot that there are wires, and I didn't even think about it. So mistake number whatever. Don't forget to let your wires fall down when you put the fan in. I think it should be okay though. There we go. There we go. Not a major issue, just a small issue. Don't worry, folks. Don't worry. Figured it out. I'm not gonna lie. That scared me for a moment. There are gonna be a lot more of those. Yep. Some even maybe that I won't be able to recover from, so stay tuned. So the fan install is completely done. Few more things. First of all, when you are done installing your fans, make sure that you really spend some time to either go wash your car or blow all of the metal shavings off the top, and also clean the inside. Secondly, make sure to go up on top of your van and check to see how the sealant is doing. If there are any air bubbles, any other places that you might have missed, just double check and make sure everything is super solid. Thanks so much for sticking around and watching this whole process. I hope you learned something, and I hope you feel like this isn't going to be a big project for you to take on. Definitely doable. It's pretty easy once you get the hang of it, and I hope that you learned from some of my mistakes. So far, my van build has cost me $501.06.